Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another MHQ immigration webcast, where today we thought we would expand a little bit more in what has become one of the firm's specialties, handling athlete, media exposed people, performers of every type over the years, and doing a little bit more than just their residency and ancillary support services, but it's to deal on a 360 level with their image right and the optimization of these and the money that is generated through these means. I'm welcoming this morning again Stephanie Campbell. Stephanie, good morning.
Good morning, Jan.
So, as I said, over the years, we have seen a number of athletes, media exposed people come to the UAE and assist them in setting up here. But there's a little bit more to that. You can think of golf players, tennis players, DJs, fighters, a lot of international people that are cross-border that need some sort of nest where ideally they do not pay too much taxes, but they also want to optimize their image right, how they monetize this image right through contract, sponsorship, etc. So what I wanted to do with you today is look at a couple of avenues on how one can optimize these image rights. Is that okay? So let's jump into that. So why, for an athlete or media exposed person, is registering its image rights necessary or useful?
Good question. So the image right is a personality right according to which anyone can authorize or prohibit his or her image. Image rights are the most valuable source of revenue for athletes. If they are successful athletes and at the top of their game, they will enter image right agreements as a tax efficient way for remuneration.
So how would you do that in practice? If I'm an athlete here, a little golfer, what should I do?
Okay, so to structure and secure the athlete's image rights, they should contribute these rights to a non-operating company. As you can see on the graph, we call it the image company.
Yep.
The athlete would be the shareholder of this image co. At a later stage, the shareholding of the image co may be further structured for asset protection purposes by placing the shares onto a UAE foundation or a trust.
Yep. And I see here that you also have a little bit of green protection belt around this image right. So how does it work? You just contribute the image rights. Can you do an extra step to protect them?
You can, yes. So interestingly, Guernsey introduced a new statutory image right in 2012, akin to a trademark, allowing owners of such intellectual property rights to register them in effect in perpetuity, thereby creating a more clearly separable and marketable asset.
Yeah, so it's really an additional evidence, like if you have real estate registered with the land department, right?
Exactly.
And what is the aim of this image co here? Couldn't I not monetize these image right myself from me, assuming I was an athlete, of course?
Yeah. So the image co aims to enable a commercial company to deduct the payments made to the image co, preventing that such payments be subject to withholding tax in the state of the residence of the payers and the image co, not being subject to high taxation on the concerning payments.
On top of always it being best practice to have an asset, high value asset segregated from a commercial entity, which is more prone to risk. Now, how does that plug into our roadmap? And hey, we are in the UAE, so how does it help us?
Okay, so let's take it a step back. We've registered the image company onto which the image rights were settled by the athlete. And ideally, this would be registered with the Guernsey Image Rights Registrar. This image company would license the image rights for commercial exploitation to another company, the commercial company.
And I assume that both these entities can be in the UAE or in another favorable tax jurisdiction, right?
Of course, of course. So the company will be registered in the UAE. The UAE is an excellent fit for athletes, since the UAE has an extensive double tax treaty, which around about 90 countries are in agreement and 33 pending.
Yep.
Typically, the athletes or even the athletes' agents, alone or jointly, or even with MHQ acting as investor or the service provider of this commercial company.
And that's a very good point, because tax optimization around the commercialization of ImageRight involves both the athlete and his family, but also often his team, whether management or agency or both. That's a good point. Now, where does our star player take position here? Should he seek a UAE residency to complement what you have just suggested?
Exactly. So the athlete would migrate to the UAE. He would make the UAE his home, his base, and he would evidence strong ties within the jurisdiction of the UAE by securing a residency visa through the commercial company.
And then how does he evidence that more?
Yeah, so to evidence the strong ties to the region, the athlete will have his UAE personal bank account. He will have a certified tenancy contract, and he'll have his proof of income in the UAE through the commercial company by sponsorships and contracts.
And with that, both he as an individual and or the operating company, if it has substance, can claim double tax benefits. So there's a lot of value in doing that the proper way. Now, last week or last week or 2 weeks ago, we talked about what does one need to effectively migrate to the UAE in terms of residency. So can you maybe remind us how that works?
Yeah, so as you know from our previous podcasts, the first step to becoming a UAE resident can be done by creating a domestic company under local law. The athlete can either be the investor or the employee of this company. In this roadmap, we're advising the athlete to be the employee of the company. Yeah.
And the other and the other options you mentioned, the acquisition of real estate.
Exactly. Second option is acquisition of real estate, more than 1 million dirhams, and UAE financial investments.
And in our practice at MHQ, I think that 95% or more of applicants actually go through this first option. So here you have it. This is how we do it at MHQ. We try to look at a 360 view of the athletes, not only starting with immigration, which is often the initial point of discussion, but then by really optimizing what goes around, the image rights, the optimization and protection of them, the commercialization through a commercial vehicle. And then from there, just advising on the interaction with the party. You could have investors that jump in on this operating company. We've seen that for a number of tennis players. You could then have the interaction with the sponsors and then sub-licensing them. You see that typically with a tennis player that would get paid from the ATP, yet all the contract would become a completely separate entity and would be done independently. And that's how you optimize often short yet high value career. If you want to know more on this topic, you can always contact the excellent Stephanie Campbell and her team. And if you want to know more about all UAE residency option at a glance, we have them summarized through some of our fact sheet available through this little plug or through our website. Stephanie Campbell, thank you very much. Good day ahead.
Thank you, Jan. Have a good day.